And joining us now for more is Michael T. Slupe, Sheriff in Butler County, where the Trump rally shooting took place. Sheriff Slupe, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Can you just give us a sense how the community is reacting now?
We're all devastated that this happened to any political candidate. And, you know, our hearts go out to the former president. They absolutely go out to the fire chief who was there with his family, who was a hero to his family and all of us, and the other two victims who I understand now are in stable condition, thank God, and I hope a speedy recovery for them as well.
And I understand that the Trump campaign does have a GoFundMe page for the victims. It's now in excess of $1.6 million. One bystander killed, 2 others injured, and of course the former president's own injuries. Can you tell us how you assess the job by Secret Service and law enforcement from yesterday?
There was a great collaboration between all law enforcement involved in this large event. And, you know, we were dealing with a lot of people that had heat-related emergencies all day long. When the shooting started, it actually sounded like firecrackers. And I looked back, I was in the crowd, I was a couple rows away from the catwalk where the president would be walking up. And I looked back and there was some smoke, didn't think much of it. Then you looked over to the right, there was a crane that had a huge set of speakers on it, and it started falling. It's just so surreal. There's just something was going on. The president went down, the Secret Service jumped on top of him. The shooting had stopped, but everybody had gotten down. I had turned back around to my left and was being waved over to the bleachers. You know, obviously I'm thinking that there was somebody passed out. I'm making my way over, and they're really, really hurrying me up. I got over there as quick as I could, and that's the first time that I understood that somebody was actually shot. So we got everybody out of the way. I called for emergency services and medics. A physician on site came up right away, excuse me, and they had attended to him the best they could, and hence he was carried out and taken to a separate area along with his family. We got everybody off the bleachers and headed everybody that we could out of the area, and then we ended up securing the scene. It was unreal and surreal at the same time.
And we've heard one person describe the Secret Service as basically like a conductor, where they're bringing in a number of different members of law enforcement when they travel to local areas. So what were your role as a sheriff and your deputies? What were you all assigned for yesterday?
Yeah, my deputies were assigned to separate posts, and the magnetometer, the metal detector area, the command post, you know, for communication. So, you know, we had a part in keeping the area secure in the post that we were assigned.
And we're learning that local and state police, like yourself, were alerted a man like the shooter was acting suspiciously prior to the rally, with multiple officials telling ABC News that within minutes, law enforcement spotted the suspected gunman on the roof and attempted to engage the shooter. Ultimately, that officer was threatened when the gunman pointed his gun at the officer. That effort to engage him was not successful. What can you tell us about that new piece of information that we're learning?
Well, I think the local law enforcement did everything they could as quickly as they could once the information was given to them. They looked for the suspect, from what I understand, couldn't find him. And I don't know what drew them to the roof, whether it was instincts or if somebody pointed there. I don't have that information. The state police will probably have all that. They're doing that investigation on that particular part of the incident as well. And again, yeah, like you said, once he got up there, you know, they encountered, he dropped down because if the gentleman was turning with the firearm, I'd be jumping down too. So he did the right thing and then called out, you know, from what I understand on the radio, you know, the guy had a gun or whatever. And I see, you know, through the news that the Secret Service agent on the roof, on the barn, behind the president, it looked like he's the one who took him out. But it's hard to say because ballistics and things like that. So
sure.
It's just unreal.
Do you have any sense of the time frame between that first officer spotting him and then him being shot?
I do not. Once again, I think the state police would have a better time frame issue with that. I do not.
Lawmakers are calling for hearings and an investigation into the security measures yesterday. Do you think there was adequate security at the event?
I would like to think so. There was quite a few officers, all law enforcement, firefighters, EMS. You know, here's one thing I'd like to say. Let's let the investigation take its course. But at the end of the day, I think we're all going to learn something.
And I guess I could have really started with this, but deciding to end with it instead. With all of your experience, ever observed any moment like this before in your life?
I have been in a shootout back in April 1991, along with other officers from different departments, including state police, when I worked for Butler Township. And, you know, we first responders and law enforcement especially puts their lives on the line. Every day they go out, putting their uniform on wherever they are. You know, God bless these men and women. And I think everybody should continue to pray for their safe return to their loved ones every shift.
Understood. Butler County Sheriff Michael T. Slupe, we thank you so much for your time and your service every day.